Welcome back. So this is season 3, or is this still season 2? I know I put on the notes season 3, but that's because I thought we're coming back. It's new semester.
I think season 3. Because either way, our first season was only a semester.
True, it was
And season
last
2
spring
was
semester. Dang, it's our
semester.
anniversary. 1 year of ruling the court.
Yeah.
We've ruled the court for about 1 year now. Wow, that's awesome. So yeah, how was your break? Why wasn't it as good as mine?
I just stayed home. I worked every day. That's about all I did. Oh, and I hung out with my siblings because we were all home for like 2 weeks.
Nice. Did Santa bring you everything you wanted for Christmas?
Yeah, I wanted a curling iron and I got it.
Nice, dude.
Did you get anything from Santa?
Yeah, I got my golf bag. I got a Chicago Cubs golf bag. I posted it on my story. You didn't see it?
Yeah, I did.
You're a liar, dude. Yeah, my brother Santa got me a golf bag. Replaced my old one. It was kind of old and rinkety. Yeah, it was. It was my dad's old golf bag, which was my uncle's old golf bag, and I found that out because there was a receipt from I think like UIS Cellular or something that was billed to my uncle. So I assume my uncle gave it to my dad, and my dad used it for some time. Then he gave it to me, and I pretty much switched out all the clubs. So all the clubs are somewhat newer, but I just still had this old golf bag. And I got a new one.
Nice.
Yeah.
You should take it to when they do golf at Wrigley.
Oh, on the the owner's box or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my other gift from Mr. Sandy Claus, maybe Mrs. Claus as well, probably more Mrs. Claus than it was from Santa Claus, if I'm being real, because I spoke to Mrs. Claus about this. And it was a trip to Washington, D.C. to try and go witness some oral arguments at the Supreme Court in person. I said try because I didn't exactly prepare like I should have. I should have did a little bit more research, and I probably would have gotten in.
What do you mean? Why didn't you get in?
Well, because...
You're like, because I had this fanny pack.
No. Yeah, my fanny pack, they were like, no fanny packs allowed. I was like, dang it.
I thought Joe Rogan could.
No, what happened was, so I was under the impression that I just got to get there early enough because the Supreme Court operates like any other public court where people can come and watch the arguments or whatever case is being held, and, you know, you just got to get there early enough to get a seat. So I'm like, all right, I have no qualms with waking up at 6 in the morning for a 10 a.m. argument. And that was my plan. So I went the first day. It was a 10 a.m. argument. I went to the court around 7 in the morning just because, and this was last Monday, which was the 13th. So a week. I landed Monday, which is a week from the inauguration. So the city was setting up for, you know, like, they had the tanks out. They had helicopters. No, I'm just kidding. They had no, but all the sidewalks were lined with like these like these long, like tall barricades. Like not even like the medians that you see like in the middle of the highway. I'm talking like there was big giant metal fences, not just like mesh metal, like
it looked
like
you were
jail
in
bars, cell metal, like. And that was on all of the sidewalks going, not just down National Mall, but like almost around the whole city. And there's barricades up on all the sidewalks, so I assume people couldn't like drive onto the sidewalks for whatever reason. And, you know, trying to navigate by walking around the city was kind of hard because all the sidewalks where you enter through them, like pretend you're on an intersection and looking across the street is just a bunch of fence-off area. And I can't tell if I can walk through until I get close enough to see that there's like a door open. And some of them had a door open, some of them didn't have a door open. So there were times where I walked across the street and I'm like, dang, because the door was closed and I'm just standing there at the corner of the street now. And I was like, I got to go back. And I kind of felt shameful because I was like, I'm an idiot. But that's what Google Maps was telling me to do. And they didn't know what was happening.
Never trust Google, bro.
I should have trusted Siri.
Yep. Dude, Siri would have landed you in a pond.
Yeah. Like, turn left now.
Like that episode of The Office.
Where he drives into the
the lake.
That was just a regular GPS. Those are dumb. I don't know why my dad and my brother still use a regular GPS.
They do?
Yeah. Like if I'm technologically savvy enough to know like when a phone connects to the car, then it's going to use the phone's GPS, which is whatever, you know, OS it uses, be it Apple or Google. But like, even if a car still uses like regular GPS, like a GPS chip that you put in, like my dad and my brother will use that, and I'm like, why? Why don't you just put it on your phone and, use the worldwide internet that gives you live updates and everything? And yeah, and then like it'll send them on roads that have been closed for like 20 years and stuff. But we find our way. Anyway, back to what I was getting to. So yeah, the city was like pretty much getting into lockdown mode. Getting ready to face the mob, and so I go at 7 a.m. thinking that it might be pretty quiet because the first cases on that Tuesday morning was kind of a more boring one. It was what was it about? Oh, it was about the difference between lying on a federal document and oh my god, I'm gonna have to look it up. Okay, yeah, lying on a federal document versus misleading on a federal document, and like a lot of the back and forth between the justices and the plaintiffs and the respondents were on like, okay, well, if you took out a loan for $1,000 and you didn't pay that loan back and you accrue interest and now you owe $2,000, and the bank asks you how much do you owe, are you lying or putting a, not necessarily a lie, but more of a misleading statement that isn't, necessarily false? So if I say, well, I only owe $1,000, is that a lie? No, it's not a lie. Mm-hmm. It's misleading, but I'm not lying on a federal document. That's basically what they were arguing on the plaintiff's side. And the government responding, well, no, if you owe $2,000 on your $1,000 loan and the government's asking you how much you owe, you have to say the interest as well and how much you owe. And that was the case. And they're going to rule on that pretty soon. And then the following day, Wednesday, that one was the really cool one. That one was the one about the Texas law that mandates that people have to put in or validate their age to view like adult materials on the internet. But yeah, that one was a cool one. Okay, so anyway, back to day one. I'll get to day two in a bit. That one was cool. So I go and I go to where I see the line. I go to the line. It's already pretty long, and I'm like, dang, I might have been I might have missed it. So I go like towards the end. I'm like, hey, is this the line for the public entrance to the court? And they were like, yeah, but I don't think you're doing like regular public entry. You have to have your lottery pass. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah. The court started doing this thing where you sign up online for like a lottery of, I think it's like a set of court dates that the court's in session listening to arguments, I think by week. So you sign up for either between I think it was the 12th through the 14th which was that week of arguments, 4 weeks prior. And then they draw random names like, okay, you get a ticket in, you get a ticket in, you get a ticket in. Dang. And I didn't know that. And so I went and I was like, oh, so they're not doing like public seating at all anymore? Like just like show up and hopefully get a seat? And they were like, not that I know of. I know there might be like 10 or 15 available to the public that didn't get lottery tickets, but by the looks of it, you might be out of luck. And I was like, dang. So I ended up spending the whole day just at different museums that day. And then the next day, I thought, do I try my luck again? Do I go even earlier? I woke up early. No, I went, and I went back to sleep. That was Wednesday, so I had a full day in DC that day and took advantage of it. Went to all the cool museums and saw all the cool things. Bought a bunch of books for the baby, my aunt's baby. Now he can read about the Constitution and dinosaurs and space and Selena. And I got all those books were from from all different either Smithsonian museums or like I got a book from the National Archives for him, which was a book on the Constitution. With the National Archives is where the Constitution, like the actual paper, the actual like original Constitution is held. Mm-hmm. And then I got a book from the Supreme Court. It's like the Supreme Court for babies or something like that. No, the little book at the Supreme Court. That's what it is. I got him that, and the dinosaur book from the Natural History Museum, and like a space book from the Air and Space Museum, and then a couple other books from a couple different areas that I am missing in my head. But he got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of books. I thought he's probably going to get a lot of toys in his life from my aunts and my uncles because I know that I did.
Mhm.
And he's the new baby in town, so everyone's going to be spoiling him with that kind of stuff. I thought, why don't I give him something, that he might hate between the ages of 10 and 26. But when he's about 27, he'll realize I did him a good thing. So, yeah, I got all that stuff for him. I got this. We're talking about a fanny pack. I got this fanny pack. It's not a fanny pack. It's like a sling bag. It's like a satchel. It's like I guess you can call it a Joe Rogan sling bag. Carry my pocket Constitution in there and stuff. And I got two Supreme Court decisions that were released that exact day that wouldn't be like posted, I think, online until like that following Friday. So that was cool. I got to read those.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's really all I got for myself. But it was cool. It was fun. Anything sports? Obviously, a lot of law related stuff. Anything sports related open over there? No, in the Supreme Court, there's like a little exhibit, like a tiny little display thing that shows like some of the judges. I know there's a picture of oh my god, I'm forgetting who it is. But there's a guy in a Cubs uniform, one of the justices in a Cubs uniform, throwing out the first pitch.
Nice.
I'm forgetting who it is. It's gonna bug me when I find it because he retired not so long ago. He wears glasses. Obviously, an old guy. But yeah, there's that. There's a small exhibit on Curt Flood and the Curt Flood decision, where he lost in the Supreme Court, but that gave way to what eventually would become the professional sports free agency market in the United States. Maybe we'll talk about that in a later day. That's kind of like a big historical thing maybe that could be a story time later down the line. Anything else? There was no real sports going on in the city aside from football. Obviously, the Commanders are in the playoffs and stuff, and they're still in the playoffs. They're in the the conference championship now,
Mhm.
going up against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right.
Yep. Who are you going for? Who are you rooting for in the playoffs? Between the Eagles and the Commanders and the Bills and the Chiefs.
Bills and Eagles, but the Commanders never win, so kind of rooting for like damn. I hope they win, but I also hope the Eagles win.
I want both teams to win.
Let's all just have peace.
I'm rooting, for football, basically. I want to see a good game on the NFC side, and I want to see the Bills blow out the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I don't really care who goes in on the NFC side. I am, a lot of people know that I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, by blood, because my dad made me one. Thanks a lot. Probably one
and
of
a
the,
Bears fan.
yeah, probably one of the few bad traits my dad passed down to me was his sports fandoms. Grew up a Cubs fan, grew up a Blackhawks fan, grew up a Chicago fan, and then on top of that, being a Dallas Cowboys fan. Oh my god, it's been a rough childhood, except for 2016 and the Blackhawks dynasty. But so yeah, I'm a Cowboys fan. So I'm not really inclined to say that I want either team to win because they're both division rivals. I probably should be more sided with the Commanders because the Eagles are bigger rivals of the Cowboys, but I think I want the Eagles to win. I really like Saquon Barkley. And defense wins championships. And they got the number one defense in the league right now. So if I were a betting man, which I'm not anymore, I would put my money on the Eagles on that side and then hope and pray the Bills win and Mahomes doesn't pull off his dark juju and I don't know, pay the refs like he usually does.
I want the Chiefs to lose.
In the Super Bowl or just now?
This weekend.
It is this weekend, right? Are both games Sunday? I don't even know.
Jamie, pull it up.
You're the Jamie. You pull it up. Hold on. I guess I can pull it up. Yeah, they're both Sunday. The Washington versus Philly game's at 2 p.m. at Philadelphia, and the Chiefs will take on the Buffalo Billiards at 5:30. All right, but yeah, so that was my winter break. I guess we got a lot of stuff lined up to talk about today. Actually, not really. Well, kind of, yeah, a lot of different stuff to talk about. I think a little bit. We're gonna get kind of, knee deep into, and then some other stuff we're just going to, dip our fingers in and see what's happening. Just let you guys know what's happening in the world of sports and in the world of laws and what it all means in the layperson term. So, yeah, let's get right into it. All right, so let's start how we usually do with the Prairie Star update. What's going on with the Stars? What are they up to? Well, since winter break, the basketball seasons for both men and women have started up. But before that, let's start with the men's track and field. They competed in their first competition at the Promise at Hoosier House Power Classic. And they had a pretty good showing on the men's side. The Prairie Stars dominated the men's 5,000 meter, claiming the top 3 spots with strong performances from Brock Loftus, Brendan Kearney, and Joe Karleski. In the men's mile, Isaac Cortez led the way for UIS, finishing 14th overall and a third in Heat 2 with a time of 4 minutes and 18 seconds. And then Aiden Donahue and Baleen Dude followed closely at 4:22 for the both of them. Ryan Jones posted one of the best 800-meter times of his career, clocking 1:56 to secure 8th place overall, and Dom Cantarini led the Prairie Stars in the men's 3,000, posting in 8:44 in his collegiate debut to finish 18th overall. So good job, boys. Looks like we got a pretty promising season ahead of us for the guys and the girls. I would argue the girls had the better day that day. Kaylee Ness claimed victory in the women's 5,000 meter with a time of 17 minutes and 45 seconds, narrowly edging out an athlete from Western Michigan who crossed the line at 17 minutes and 55 seconds. Wow, 1 second differential. You think she did that thing from like Cars where he was like, stick his tongue out? Or she like dove for the finish line, like you think? Someone's got to have a video of that where she's like, she had to have done something crazy. Just like dive or like dove head first.
What's your name?
Kaylee,
if you're listening to this, not
someone's got to have a slow motion of that. That'd be awesome to see. They should put that highlight up everywhere. She won that thing, the 5,000 meter, by 1 second, beating a Western Michigan athlete and a lot of other athletes in that competition. Great job for her. Marissa Roggensnack was the top finisher for UIS in the women's mile, running a 5:24 for 17th place in a competitive field that included NCAA D1 and D2 athletes. That placed her 5th in Heat 2 of the event. In the women's 3,000 meter, Madeline Miller finished 11th overall behind 9 D1 competitors and 1 D2 rival. She placed 2nd in Heat 2, where Allison Kuzma from Hinsdale took first. No free clout. So, yeah, the track and field team's looking pretty good. They have another competition this coming tomorrow, January 24th. This is the 23rd. January 24th. Looks like both teams will be at the Bellarmine Invite. The Prairie Stars are headed to Louisville, Kentucky after a strong opening weekend in Indianapolis. Top GLVC performances include Maddie Miller's performance, Kaylee Ennis's performance, and on the men's side we have Isaac Cortez, Dom Cantanari, looking to have strong performances again. So see what they can do. I'm sure they're gonna have another slate of good things to bring back. Now on to the basketball seasons. Let's start with the guys. What are the guys up to?
No, start with the women.
You want to start with the women? All right. The women have been had a rough start to their season. They currently sit at 3-14 and 2-7 within the division. They have a total points of 1,065 on the season, while giving up 1,237 to their opponents. So like a 200-something difference. Yeah, they're having a little bit of they had definitely a rough start. They got on a little win streak. I think they won 3 games off the bat. Or not off the bat. 3 games on a road weekend away. 2 to GLVC rivals. So that was that. I'm sure that was good for team morale. Let's look at some category leaders of this team. We have Kayla Rice leading with points, almost a point away from 300 actually. 299 points of the season on 17 games played, averaging 17.6 games, 17.6 points per game. So she's having a pretty good season. Amari Doby follows closely behind with 202 points on 17 games played, putting her at an average of 11.9 points per game. So we got some pretty good scores. We have 4 players above the 100 mark this season. So that's not too bad. They're scoring. I know our assist leader is, Sahara Murphy, one of our guards. She's always been very good at dishing out the ball. She's got 57 assists on the season, putting her at 3.4 assists a game, which is pretty good. We're distributing the ball pretty well. We just got to start racking up some wins. I think we got to get some better morale by getting – I think tomorrow, or maybe it's today.
What?
We have a couple GLVC games. I know it's this weekend, throughout this weekend. It might be Friday and Saturday that we have. Oh, I have it right here, actually. What am I doing?
I think they all have a game today.
Yeah, it's today. Yeah, I was right. We were right. I was right. Yeah, today and tomorrow, Thursday the 23rd and Friday the 24th. Men's and women's play Missouri S&T, and then on Friday, men's and women's play Drury. So 2 back-to-back GLVC games. To see what the girls can do in their showings against some GLVC rivals on the home court too. So we got to go out and support, let them know that we are here for them, and we'll be loud for them. Let's check on the guys. What are the guys doing? The guys are sitting at 9-8 this season, playing 4 wins to 5 losses in the GLVC. This isn't too bad. Just a tad over 500 on the season. They've got a total points on the season of 1,272 while giving up 1,244 points, so about a 30-ish point differential for the guys in their favor, which is pretty good. Let's look at some individual stats on the season. Maxie right now is leading the team in points with 279 points on 17 games played, putting him at an average of 16.4 points per game, followed closely by Mr. Jack Weber. Jack Weber, who is now our all-time points leader for the UIS Prairie Stars. Congratulations to him. He has 207 points on the season on 17 games played, putting him at an average of 12.2 points per game. And now the guys have 7 players right now that have played with over 100 points on the season, and 4 that are averaging over 10 points a game. So it looks like we're scoring pretty well. Looks like the ball's getting distributed pretty well. It's good to see. Looks like this is a fun team to watch. I haven't been able to make it out to the games. Oh, yeah, this is a fun team to watch. We got Maxie putting up 44 3-point attempts. No, those are 3-point misses. 120 3-point attempts throughout the season. Wow. He's got 44 made, putting him at an average of just about 37% on his 3-point percentage. And I would say follow closely behind, but looks like Evan Altman's shooting he's shooting pretty well in the season, shooting about a 44%, 77 attempts on, 34 made on 77 attempts. Looks like he's shooting the ball pretty well, so let's keep putting the ball in those guys' hands on the perimeter, and we know who to rely on the inside. We got our big guys. We got Khalil on the inside that can play pretty well. We got Isaiah on the inside that can score pretty well, and of course, Mr. Jack Weber, our all-time leading scorer, always reliable on the inside. One thing I wanted to look at for the guys was their rebounds. Yeah, right now Evan's leading the rebounds with 110 rebounds, 18 offensive, 92 defensive rebounds on the season so far. Khalil follows closely behind with 96 rebounds total on the season with 31 offensive rebounds, so it looks like that he's our offensive rebounding guy. But he's not slagging on defense either. He's got 65 defensive rebounds on the season. So the guys are getting the ball back even if they aren't making it in, but also they're getting the ball back when they don't make it in on the other end of the court. So looks like they're playing good basketball, and it'd be fun to see what they do this weekend against 2 GLVC rivals. It's going to be some tough games. I know that for sure. I know Missouri S&T, I think, is ranked number 9 in the VC. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I can make it to some of those games. They're today and tomorrow. Maybe not. I get work. But Prairie Star fans, you guys should try to make it out. Or hopefully you were there for those games. This episode comes out after. And we show some good support for the guys. I'll be watching closely from my phone. But yeah, that's what's happening with the Prairie Stars. And now let's get into some legal talk. All right. So let's start with taking a trip back to September. Do you remember? Early on, we had an episode where we were talking about what was happening with the Pac-12 and the Mountain West Conference, and how the Pac-12, a year from last September, looked like it wasn't even going to be, because it was going to be left with two schools. Oh my God, the schools escape my mind right now. But a lot of the Pac-12 schools left for higher grounds. I know Oregon, USC, Washington went to the Big Ten. I'm missing another school, maybe UCLA. I don't know. But a lot of their big schools went to greener pastures. I would assume mainly for the ability to gain more money in the new NIL world and stuff like that. They foresaw the Pac-12 not being a good, or providing a good model to profit off that kind of stuff. That's besides the point. So the Pac-12 looked like they weren't going to be anything. And so of the two schools that ended up saying, they ended up wanting to stay mainly because they wanted to hold on to all the properties and all of the, I guess, the banks of the money that they had connected to the Pac-12, that conference. And they still wanted to play football. So what happened was they partnered with the Mountain West Conference, saying that we can put you guys on our schedule, you two schools. I want to say it's Colorado State and someone else. Maybe Utah. Oh, no, Oregon State and Washington State. It's right there.
Yep.
Oregon State and Washington State to keep them on the schedule, on the football schedule, to be able to play for conferences and bowl games and stuff like that. They allowed them to play in the Mountain West schedule in their conference and play their teams. And in this agreement, they put in what was called a poaching fee if the Pac-12 were to start poaching schools from the Mountain West. And, well, what do you know? The Pac-12 started poaching teams from the Mountain West, and when the Mountain West came to collect their poaching fees, the Pac-12 was like, I don't, yeah, this isn't like, that wasn't serious, was it? And they sued. They sued the Mountain West, claims that the 8-figure poaching fees are illegal. They didn't like the fees. We talked about this in that episode. And basically, the Mountain West, of course, the first thing they tried to do was say that essentially that they should throw the case out. And that was their first motion submitted to the court, where the Mountain West submitted a motion to dismiss the lawsuit. And almost a month later, I think that was in December, almost a month later, the Pac-12 responds to the court saying that, no, you shouldn't be able to do that. We should go to court and we should fight this out. So basically the issue is between, right now, the Pac-12 and the Mountain West, what is she, the commissioner? The commissioner of Mountain West, Gloria Nevarez. And they're essentially arguing that the Mountain West were holding meetings without either of the two schools, without letting them know, so that way they can alter the rules to permit the poaching fees, and also do a number of other things, such as withhold millions of dollars from either school that were supposed to be used to pay for things like travel and boarding and things like that for different bowl games that those schools had participated under the Midwest umbrella. Mountain West umbrella. So obviously they're not big fans of that, and yep, they want money basically. So that's what's happening right now. The Pac-12 is holding true on what they're saying, and they're saying that they should be able to play. This was a quote from, I believe this is from the actual motion from the Pac-12, and it reads that after the Pac-12 accepted applications from 5 current Mountain West Conference members to join the Pac-12, beginning in 2026, the Mountain West Conference sought to enforce illegal poaching this illegal poaching penalty by demanding $55 million from the Pac-12, an amount the Mountain West Conference knows will cripple the Pac-12 moving forward and thwart further competition for member schools. Now the Mountain West Conference asks the court to close its eyes while the Mountain West Conference runs roughshod over basic legal principles, promoting fair competition. The court should reject the Mountain West Conference efforts to deny the motion to dismiss. So they're saying, no. Meet me in the ring. Meet me on the court. We're going to settle this. So we'll see how that plays out. But now, so you have the Pac-12 trying to take the schools from the Mountain West, but then you also had the teams trying to leave the Mountain West to go to the Pac-12. You have Colorado State, Utah State, Boise State, and a couple other schools looking to go over to the Pac-12. And now the Mountain West is saying, no. If you want to leave, you got to pay us an exit fee. And now those schools are suing the Mountain West as well, saying that I don't want to. Yeah, so the seceding schools in this case are arguing that over the past several months, the Mountain West Conference and its commissioner, Gloria Nevares, have taken extraordinary and unauthorized actions and violations of the plaintiffs' membership rights and Colorado law. In a desperate attempt to further membership departures, the Mountain West Commissioner Nevares have willfully disregarded the conference's bylaws to take action against the board and did not and would never have approved. The conference and the commissioner have also covertly and impermissibly, also this is where I was confusing. This is where they were having those secret meetings. It was the Mountain West having the secret meetings about changing the rules and allowing the exit fees of the schools that want to leave. So they didn't include this in these like board meetings. They didn't include the schools that wanted to leave, and they're saying, well, that's against the bylaws. We should have been there. Mm-hmm. And they now are threatening to withhold tens of millions of dollars due to plaintiffs, i.e. the schools that are trying to leave the Mountain West, and other departing members, including refusing to reimburse the departing members for travel and other expenses incurred in connection with the postseason football games. This flouting the bylaws and Colorado is not new. It is part of the Mountain West's ongoing efforts to restrict its members' ability to freely explore the best options in the marketplace for their student athletes and penalize certain members for announcing their intent to withdraw from the conference. So, it seems that the Mountain West here is being accused of trying to like double dip in the whole realignment situation. The Pac-12 is trying to maintain afloat and trying to maintain itself as a conference by doing what they think is fair and seeking out other member schools to, you know, to join their conference and keep them going in the world of college athletics. And the Mountain West is saying, well, if you guys want to do that, you know, Side A's got to pay me and Side B's got to pay me because, one, you're taking our schools, and two, you're leaving our conference. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. You know, if the Mountain West wins one way versus not the other, if they lose both, if they win both, what's that going to mean for the world of school transfers into different conferences? Because we had that whole SEC, I guess, inheritance of a bunch of different schools. The Big Ten inherited a bunch of schools. And I'm sure there's a lot of money involved in that between the two conferences that was agreed upon. But this seems like, you know, poaching penalties, exit fees, they're being punished for trying to do what the SEC and Big Ten were able to do. And it feels like it's kind of a malignant punish because it's with the understanding that if we charge you this amount of money, it's going to be hard for you to keep going in general. Because the SEC and the Big Ten were taking these schools knowing they had the pockets full. They had deep enough pockets to acquire these schools and pay whatever fees they need to the other conferences that they bought them from or inherited them from. If that was the case, I'm not too privy on all that stuff. But it looks like the Mountain West is trying to take advantage of the Pac-12 and the schools that are leaving to maybe asphyxiate them, maybe cannibalize their own market, you know, just like
asphyxiate them.
Yeah, like choke them out, dude. Like trying to make sure they had no breathing room. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know, but that was just so funny.
Sorry, I just threw that word out there. I learned it the other day.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's happening with the Mountain West. They're getting sued from both sides of the two sides they're trying to take advantage of. Who would have thought? Now moving on to, let's talk some politics. Let's talk about Joseph R. Biden. On his last days, you saw like all over the internet and all over the TikToks for the one day that it was not banned, that Biden pardoned like everyone. He pardoned his whole family, his mom and dad's side.
Yeah.
He pardoned, I think he pardoned the Tiger King. He pardoned
Are you serious?
El Chapo. No, I'm kidding.
Jesus Christ.
No, but one of the big things in the sports world that Joe Biden did in his pardoning frenzy was pardon a former ex-Miami booster, and he was a booster in the time when NILs weren't allowed, and students couldn't get money just for going to a school to play. And not only was he that, but he was also a Ponzi schemer. So this guy, Nevin Shapiro, was pardoned by President Joe Biden. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison in 2011 after pleading guilty to charges stemming from $930 million received from fooled investors between 2005 and 2009.
What?
Yeah, so he made a lot of money in 4 years.
I wish I could make
In
that
4 years, I got a piece of paper. I got a piece of paper, some debt.
months late.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
According to the FBI, $5 million of investor funds were spent on illegal sports gambling debts, while another $400,000 went toward floor seats at the Miami Heat games.
I want those.
Man, who says Miami Heat doesn't have a fandom? I say that, but so anyway, back to this guy, Nevin Shapiro. Shapiro also said, so here's the thing. While he was arrested, there was about 100 hours of jailhouse. This is from Yahoo Sports. I was previously reporting from Sportico.com.
You're reporting?
Yeah, reporting from a report. So this is from Yahoo Sports, that while he was in jail, over 100 hours of jailhouse interviews during his 11th month investigation, Hurricane booster Nevin Shapiro described a sustained 8-year run of rampant NCAA rule breaking, some of it with the knowledge or direct participation of at least 7 coaches from Miami football and basketball programs. At a cost that Shapiro estimates in the millions of dollars, he said that his benefits to athletes included, but were not limited to, ready for this? Cash, prostitutes, entertainment in his multi-million-dollar homes and yacht, paid trips to high-end restaurants and nightclubs, jewelry, bounties for on-field play, which included bounties for injuring other players, travel, and on one occasion, an abortion. Yeah.
What?
He paid for anything and everything to get these guys to play for Miami, and they have zero titles to show for it.
Well, honestly, I can get that from the picture.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you could get him doing that. Like, yeah, I get it. You know, you got to pay for it. No, yeah. On the Yahoo Sports article, like, look at him. He's holding the bottle. This is the picture says Nevin Shapiro, and a second source confirmed that this photo is of the booster, Nevin, and Kellen Winslow Jr., a football player that I'm slightly familiar with, was taken at Shapiro's VIP section of the Opium Garden nightclub in 2003. And then there's another picture down here, and it shows Nevin Shapiro said that this photo was taken during a basketball fundraiser in 2008, in which the booster donated $50,000 to the program. From left to right are men's basketball coach Hank Faith Shapiro and University of Miami president Donna Shalala. Shalala is holding Shapiro's donation check, which the booster said was entirely comprised of Ponzi funds.
She looks so excited. The check. She's like, ah.
Yeah, so he was pardoned. Yeah, he had some connection with Vince Wilfork too. Yeah, that's down here. He paid him $50,000 as a recruiting tool to play for Miami. Vince Wilfork ended up playing for the Patriots and won a couple of Super Bowls with them. He was like the most massive man to ever play defense. And staying on the Biden train, the Biden DOJ, the Department of Justice under the Biden administration, also released a last-minute statement on the interest in the House case. So this is another Sportico article, but essentially the DOJ take issue with the proposed payment cap to athletes. So remember in the House settlement, there's like it was like a Oh, here it is. There's like a 22% defined formula for average shared revenue for the students. So aside from the $2.7 billion that are paid to former athletes, they also have to pay out 22% of a defined formula of an average shared revenue. Like they're gonna figure out how much to pay different students, but it's got to be 22% of the revenue gained from like broadcasting and stuff like that. The gist of it, college can elect to pay athletes in their own program about $21 million in total, and the payments would reflect media rights, ticket sales, sponsorships, and schools' use of NILs. The DOJ finds what it terms the salary cap rule problematic since it is an artificial number that doesn't reflect the free market. They're trying to set a cap. They're trying to say this is as much as you can make, because this is a rule that we're saying as a part of the settlement agreement between the what are the three cases? House, Carter, and Hubbard. And students aren't able to make any more than this cap. Well, the government doesn't like that. In a setting without the cap, a big time school like Alabama or Texas might pay athletes far more than $21 million. After all, top deep pocketed programs could get into bidding wars over five-star athletes, which would lead to more and better offers. Also, athletes at some top programs provide more than $21 million in value and would be paid more in a market without a cap. So essentially what they're arguing here is that they came to this agreement without coming to, or without there ever being a collective bargaining conversation between the people that would be getting the money, i.e. the students, and the people that came up with this rule, i.e. technically the NCAA. So the NCAA is trying to set a cap on how much students can make on revenue sharing, and the government's saying, well, if you're going to set a cap, that cap needs to be negotiated between the people that are getting the money and you guys, and you only really negotiated it amongst yourselves and former players. How does that make sense? So they're pretty much saying that this is going to be another big antitrust suit later down the line. And attorney Jeff Kinsler, on a phone interview with Sportico, pretty much gave his 2 cents on it. And I'm not going to read this article, this whole thing, because we're going to get into more of this a little bit later. But his whole thing was basically that, well, yeah, this is kind of what the cap is now, but if students later down the line or students in the future that are like, I don't know, in high school or like middle school right now wanted to sue the NCAA when they finally make it to be 18 years old to be recruited by a school, saying that you're setting a limit on how much I can make, they can do that. We're not saying that the schools or the NCAA can't be sued again because we came up with this number, but might as well give it a shot if you really think that it's an issue. Don't stop this settlement payout, which is due to the students of that formerly played for the NCAA and their partner schools, because you find an issue with part of the settlement, I guess. And that was basically all he said, was like, well, if they want to sue over it, they can't let them. But yeah, that's pretty much what was going on there. The government's trying to get involved with that and give their 2 cents. Well, I guess at least the Biden DOJ was trying to give their 2 cents, and it's like, hey, this is going to be an issue for you guys. You should probably figure this part out first. And they didn't, and it's probably going to bite them in the butt later. And that leads us to this Sportico argument that I found kind of interesting, and we will react to it. 5 ways Trump administration could reshape the sports industry. So Sportico released a five object list of the ways that the Trump administration could have an effect on sports in the very near future. A lot, or I guess a majority of it, is college sport related. There's a couple here that go beyond that, but the first one is regarding the DOJ's role in the House settlement. So obviously the Biden administration said that you guys might have some problems here. I don't know if this is gonna be good for you.
Exactly like that.
But really, we're gonna see what the Trump DOJ says about it now, and what they think should be done with it. Whether they are like, nah, just go ahead, pay him out and figure it out later, or no, you should, or they would somehow advise the judicial system to make them go back and look at it again. I'm not sure that it's 100% passed. I think it's still on the judge's desk in California. I forget her name. Claudia Wilkins, I think it is. I think it's still on her desk to be finalized and approved. But yeah, I guess it'd be interesting to see what the Trump DOJ now says about it. They might just do nothing and, I guess recall that statement from the DOJ and say, "Nah, you guys figure it out." Or they might release a new statement that says, that they're in favor of it or that they're even less in favor of it for whatever reason. So we'll see what happens there. But then the number 2 thing they have on their list is another interesting one, and that's an amendment to the Biden's Department of Education's fact sheet, which opined that the Title IX, where is it? That Title IX compliancy should apply to the House rules, the House payout. According to Sportico, the primary issue here is whether Title IX requires colleges under which the settlements would directly pay college athletes for use of their NIL to equitably pay male and female athletes for use of their NIL. The settlement will empower college athletes or colleges to pay up to $21 million a year in distribution to its athletes. And the Department of Education under the Biden administration gave them a fact sheet basically stating how and why Title IX should be applied to the distribution of these monies. And I guess under the Trump DOE, it'd be interesting to see how they play it out, because we know how they are with Title IX. And they're not very favorable of it when it comes to telling people what to do and what not to do with their money. That's just the fact of life. Here it reads that the NIL is about a person's unique characteristics, including their name, image, and likeness, voice, and persona, since NIL is tied to the right of publicity, an intellectual property law concept that provides control over the commercial use of a person's identity. Whether Trump and Linda McMahon, yes, the Linda McMahon that was chokeslammed by
her husband Vince.
No, by Kane. She was tombstoned by the Undertaker.
Oh, yeah.
Linda McMahon, his nominee for the Secretary of Education, agree with the fact sheet's viewpoint remains to be seen. The fact sheet could be rescinded and replaced with a fact sheet that offers a different or even opposite viewpoint, which I think is very likely. Trump could also push Congress to pass federal legislation that exempts settlement payments from Title IX, or he could issue an executive order to that effect. And Senator Ted Cruz from Texas predicts that last week's fact check won't be around for long. He says that mandating so-called equal pay when not all sports generate equal revenue will force some colleges out of athletics altogether. Yeah, I think, that's just the state of the world we're in. Everyone's worried about money and what's happening with it. And I think on this side of the coin that we're on now, that fact sheet's probably going to get thrown out the window. And it's not going to last very long. And in similar vein, number 3 on Sportico's list of ways that the Trump administration could affect the legal sports world is in the classification of college athletes as employees. Essentially, we have to watch closely to see how the Trump administration feels about that. And, with him being a Republican, it would be natural for him to oppose that, to oppose making them athletes, because then it would maintain the power within the what's it called, the NCAA and the conferences to monitor and, make sure everything's happening right in the world of college sports. But, as Sportico notes here, Trump isn't a conventional Republican. He embraced organized labor during the 2024 presidential election, and exit polls indicate that he performed relatively well with union voters. So, I mean, if he can, with the whole Dartmouth thing and their recent NLRB win in being able to unionize, and that's a whole thing still going on, it'd be interesting to see how Trump panders, or the Trump administration panders, if they do at all, to this new idea of a student athlete union, um, kind of making decisions for themselves. Another thing I think interestingly pointing out here is that some of the Supreme Court justices on the court that were appointed by Trump have already voiced their opinion on these kinds of things. I know Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch wrote pretty eloquently in the Alston case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they wrote in the Alston case pretty eloquently about their opinions on the NCAA, one, functioning as a commercial business, and two, the fact that these students should be able to receive money and parts of the revenue for uses of their name, image, and likeness. They're very vocal about it being illegal restraints, and a lot of other judges on the federal bench appointed by Trump have voiced similar opinions. So it'd be interesting to see what the administration itself, under the DOJ, under the DOE, and different areas, and what they, I guess, will, or if they will have an opinion on the development of some kind of student employee status for student athletes. And then the last thing on the list, oh no, there's 5 here, not 4. The fourth thing on this list is less college related, and this is more to do with sports streaming. So you have to have like a million different streaming sites just to watch sports. Well, a little bit ago, Venue Sports was a program started up that tried to get pretty much all of it, like all of the different sports networks and programs and whatever, on one platform. And Fubo TV sued and said, no, you shouldn't be able to do that. That's an antitrust violation. You're price fixing. You're not allowing us to compete competitively. If you're just going to offer it all in one place, you're going to end up price gouging when, you take us out of the market. And U.S. District Judge Margaret M. Garnett granted Fubo the preliminary injunction blocking Venue Sports from moving forward, which was the program that was going to start, then ended up not starting. Garnett found it problematic under antitrust law for competing media companies to place their live sports content on one streaming platform, since, she reasoned, it could eventually lead to price increases and other consumer harms. This viewpoint was shared by the Biden administration and several senators and states attorneys generals from the Democratic Party. This viewpoint was repudiated by the defendants and other, including states attorney generals who were Republicans. Their core argument is that Venue Sports would provide fans with what they actually want, a relatively affordable option for buying and streaming live sports content, none of which is exclusive to a platform, without having to pay for an unwanted bundled content. So it'd be interesting to see what the Trump DOJ does here in allowing, or I guess not allowing, the Venue Sports platform to take off. Maybe they push or they bring this bring this case to a federal court, and they allow Venue Sports to continue on, or whatever happens with this preliminary injunction under the Trump administration will say a lot for sports streaming in the future. Might make it easier, might make it harder, might make it a lot more expensive. It might actually make it a lot more affordable now that you don't have to pay for 70 different things, Who knows? What do you think? You think it'd be better to have it under one roof, or do you want to have, Hulu, Amazon Prime?
Bro, the thing is, I have like all the
Paramount
Plus,
Plus,
and I still have ads. So I think it'll be easier if you just.
But what if it's like $50 a month? It might even be more than that.
So kind of like how DAZN, it's like one streaming platform for all their fights, but it'll be one streaming platform for all sports.
Sort of, kind of, yeah. That's what it looks like. $42.99 was the original price. That was proposed when
per month.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, so they were going to be partnering up with a bunch of different programs that have, so it's like ESPN, I see here, ESPN, Fox, Warner Brothers, Discovery, Hulu, Walt Disney. So basically everyone that shows sports on some kind of streaming platform. We're going to be bundled into this Venue program, and now that's stopped. And I don't know, $42 a month, I feel like it would start at that and
increase.
Oh yeah, I mean, as they continue to.
Nah, I think they should just leave it like across different platforms, because you can also watch like like I think women's basketball, they show it on HBO Max or whatever it's called now.
Mm-hmm.
And then like there's ESPN that shows like boxing and UFC and stuff.
Well, I feel like that's different because you're showing different. Because, like, the Chicago Bears are on Fox because they have a Fox contract. I think the Dallas Cowboys are on CBS because they have a CBS contract. Monday Night Football gets played on ESPN because they have an ESPN contract. Sunday Night Football gets played on NBC because they have an NBC contract. Like, that's basically the gist of all of that. And Venue Sports is trying to bring that under one roof. And I think that's Fubu's argument is that, well, no, if we already have all of this, laid out, this whole map of competitors competing, I should be able to bid for Monday Night Football. I should be able to bid for Thursday Night Football. And if Venue's coming in and saying that, well, we'll just get all of it. I guess the argument is that it's some kind of antitrust violation that, is violating their potential ability to compete because they're already, I guess, price fixing the ability to watch all of those programs that they could originally, I guess, bid on, So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And the final thing is the eligibility of transgender athletes in athletics. So, again, this transcends college athletics and goes into a lot bigger things. But mainly this comes back down to not professional. This is more on the amateur and high school level. And what the Trump administration could do to limit a person's ability to play with their affirmed gender identity. And, this isn't, I don't think this is anything political. This is, I think, just a fact of life. It's well known that the Trump administration is very adverse to recognizing people's affirmed identity. He signed that one executive order that says, like, the government will only recognize men and women. Like, okay, yeah. Whatever, dude. But it'd be interesting to see what the Department of Education would try to do here.
What Linda McMahon would
What Linda would want to do, and
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it says here on the article that Trump is expected to sign related executive orders, including one he promised during his campaign, a ban on transgender athletes from women's sports. Just from women's sports. On Monday, Trump signed the executive order, like we said before, stating that the government only recognizes two sexes, male and female. These executive orders could be challenged as violating federal law, including the Constitution and Title IX, as running afoul of state laws, given that states have historically overseen youth and high school athletics. This is like basic con law, basic constitutional law. I gotta.
Go ahead, pull out your.
I'm gonna pull out my pocket Constitution and read you guys a little excerpt from the Constitution. I don't think. I think I saw somewhere that the Trump administration removed the Constitution.
Took it off.
Yeah. Well, I always have mine handy. Let's go
They're
to.
not getting to you.
Nah, they're not. I'm off the grid.
Right.
Let's go to amendment number 10. The powers not delegated to the United States, i.e. the United States federal government, by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So the powers that aren't directly given to the government or aren't directly stated in the Constitution that the states can't do are given to the states. So the states, the federal government, there's nowhere in the Constitution that says that the federal government is supposed to regulate and look over youth and high school athletics. That's all done by the states, and it has been for, 300 years now?
Ever?
Yeah. 200 something years. I don't even know. The empire's going to fall soon. But, it's not whatever say that they try to have in youth athletics and high school athletics and even amateur athletics to some degree. I feel like they're going to find out pretty soon that it's not up to them. So that's 5 ways the Trump administration could affect sports in the near future.
Get excited.
Yep, we're going to have a fun 4 years ahead of us. It should be. Yeah. But yeah, that was it. That's all I had for today. We're back, season 3. We got some cool things planned. Thank you. Bye.